Welcome back to Reddit Tree. Today we are back with paranormal stories and events. Stay tuned and watch the full video, to know all the paranormal stuff happening around. First event. Faceless woman at mall entrance. Okay, so I am going for a night out to have dinner with my fiancé at a restaurant in a big mall close to home, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We re in the car, chatting and making our way there. There is a parking structure at this mall, and to get there you have to pass by the main street entrance, on a thin, one-lane path. I have a habit of always being quite vigilant, looking around as noticing everything I can. I mean, those who come to Rio de Janeiro, or live here know that this isn't the safest city in the world. So as I slowly drive by the main entrance's big double glass, automatic doors, I look at everyone standing there. Typically they are waiting for an Uber or taxi to pick them up. In the corner of the square space, almost touching the left wall just outside the door, I see a woman, or what looked like a female human, but what made me look twice and then a third time was that she had no face. She looked like one of those store mannequins. Now, you could argue that she was a mannequin, except that lady was moving around. That blew my mind. About 5 seconds after we pass by those doors, my fiancé looks at me with shock on her face, and asks if I had just seen that faceless lady. I mean, it's one thing for me to have supposedly seen it alone and maybe I was just seeing things as they say, but she had seen it too. We got in and parked the car, and we went outside to see this thing, but she was gone. Till this day, every time we go to that mall, we look for that faceless woman, but we've never seen her again. Second event. My sister, saying goodbye to me. This is gonna be long. My actual story is very short, but I feel the backstory is important. It feels weird to post about. I'm not sure if it could easily have been chalked up to you were tired, but I can't stop thinking about her lately and it still gives me chills. To give a bit of a backstory, my mom did foster parenting. I was an only child, but we had lots of kids come and go in our house throughout my life. They never stayed long. But when I was 6, my mom accepted to take care of 3 kids, siblings, 2 of them were boys and 1 girl my age, our birthdays a week apart. She was tall, unlike myself, and I thought she was super cool. As soon as they moved in with me, the girl was registered at my school in my class for the upcoming school year. We shared a bedroom even. I was adopted, not related to any fostering, I was just adopted at birth, and she was in a foster home, so we both kind of had this understanding of not being understood. We shared all our secrets, what we wanted out of our lives. We played pretend together. They lived with me until I was 10 and my parents divorced, and my newfound sister, let's call her S, had moved to another foster home. It was fine, it sucked not having her around while my parents were divorcing, but we still talked on the phone every day, and her foster mom even kept her enrolled in the same school as me. Fast forward a couple years, S is 14 and has up and decided she's moving out of her foster home, and living with her grandmother and uncle. He lives in a trailer in their backyard. Call him T. S starts to act weird, snappy. Turns out she's been doing drugs with T all summer long. It was hard to deal with, but we would always come together again in the end. She would stay at my place for months on end, getting off drugs, and back on them. It put a strain on our relationship, but we still called each other our sister, and we always expressed that we still loved one another. We're like 18 now, graduating. S ends up relapsing after being clean for however long this time. We get into a huge fight and somehow don't end up speaking again. I saw her a couple times around town. She would notice me and flash me a smile, her weird little smirk. She was completely lost and into drugs, and I couldn't save her anymore. She simply didn't want it. 4 years have passed. I've been seeing S around town. I've been thinking about her a lot. I go and add her on Facebook in January of 2018, something in my heart just told me to. She would shoot me a message every once in a while, asking if she could come stay the night. I'd always decline, knowing how it always turned out before. I regretted that a lot in the next coming months. Thanks for reading. My actual story: I went to bed at 10 p.m. I woke up at 12, which I never do. I don't just wake up from a dead sleep, ever. I went into the living room to get to the kitchen for water, and I felt like something was telling me to turn the fuck around, so I did. And lo and behold, there's this black, and I mean black and distinguished humanoid figure standing at the very end of the hall. If it's a shadow, it's a weird looking one. It's tall, I can even make out a messy bun on top of what would be its head. I remember my first thought was S-like. I just thought about her, just like that. And I suddenly get this feeling of calmness, like everything will be alright. And all at once, I instantly picture a baby, a wedding dress. And I'm standing there dumbfounded. By this point I've noticed the figure is gone, of course. It didn't have a face, not even legs. It was just a black figure. I'm standing there like, wait, I know I just saw S. I knew it. I decided that she must be astral projecting, though I knew that was dumb. S didn't know what that was, even. I went back to bed, and I woke up not 10 seconds after falling asleep gasping for air. It was like I was holding my breath while I was sleeping. I remember being scared to go back to bed like, what if I stop breathing and die? So dumb. I woke up the next morning, did my usual thing. I think I had pushed the night before out of my mind. Until I get a text message from an old friend, telling me that S had passed away sometime the night before from an overdose. Of course I instantly thought of my moment from the night before. I had so many emotions running through me when I found out, but I knew that it was her. She was probably coming to say goodbye to me, like she never got to do before. This all happened 2 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I ended up pregnant, about a year after she died. I probably won't be getting married anytime soon. I'm single now, but I like to think she had an idea of what was in store for me. I miss her a lot. Hey there you, yes you, please help me get 50 subscribers, subscribe now to get updated every day. Last but not the least scary event. I need help, I think I'm going insane. I'm 21 years old and I recently moved to Canada for a job opportunity I didn't have in my home country, and I managed to find a relatively cheap flat in quite a safe area that was built around the 1970s. It surprised me that no one had lived in it for half a decade considering the price and size of the flat, but I should have known that it was too good to be true. The second I set foot in it I felt a strange feeling of uneasiness that I didn't really understand because the flat looked the same as it looked in the ads. The only thing that surprised me was the smell of cigarette smoke, even though nobody lived in it for 5 years. The first week was relatively normal, nothing really strange happened, and as long as I was busy I never got that uneasy feeling until Friday night. I was laying in my bed ready to go to sleep when I hear something scratching at the door to my bedroom. I laid in bed confused as I hear the sound get gradually louder until it practically sounds like banging. I then grabbed the closest thing to me, which was my lamp, to defend myself and open the door only to find nothing. I checked my entire flat and there was no sign of a break. Safe to say I couldn't sleep that night. This practically became a daily occurrence along with sleep paralysis, which I never experienced before. I started occasionally seeing faces in the windows and hearing what sounds like a child's laughter. I've never really believed in the paranormal, so I'm starting to think I'm going insane. But something happened recently that draws the line. I was sitting on my couch drifting off to sleep when in the corner of my eye I see a little girl in a red dress sit opposite of me. She was just sitting there, her smile growing wider and wider until all her teeth were showing, and then poof, she disappeared. This wasn't like a regular case of sleep paralysis. That little girl looked real, not she looked like she was in pain. She wasn't just a shadowy figure in the corner of my eye. Ever since then I've been terrified of staying over at my own place, so I'm currently staying with a friend until I figure out what to do.